Well, I have had this permobil F3 for over 2 years now and got about 1,200 miles on it. I think what we're going to do today, actually I know exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to take this thing apart, we're going to pull the motors off, we're going to check inside the brush housings, look inside the brakes, and just kind of inspect a few other things on the chair just to see how things look, if there's any wear or if any parts need to be replaced or whatnot. I'm pretty hard on this chair, so I'm curious to see how it's been holding up. And really, waiting over 2 years to do this, I'm kind of the mindset that it's good to inspect things, at least once a year or as often as you can. But I'm gonna hop onto the floor, we're gonna tear into this thing and see what there is to see. Now, I do kind of skip through a lot of stuff. This isn't like an instructional video on how to disassemble things. I've got tons of other videos on processes of how to disassemble and do things like that. But we're just gonna kind of blast through a bunch of stuff and skip to the good parts, as it were. So hopefully you enjoy. Okay, here we have the 2021 F3. I've had this thing for about 2 years, actually over 2 years now, and it's got just shy of 1,200 miles on it. As you can see looking around, there's, quite a few scratches and things like that. And I swapped out the drive tires for the old style ones. We had to add some bolts along here to kind of hold in the plastics better than they did from the factory. But basically what I want to do is pull the wheels off, see if we can get to the motor brushes and clean those out, see how much debris is in there, and kind of look at the condition of those. Everything else is just kind of is what it is. Bearings still seem fine in the caster swivels and in the wheels. And yeah, I don't think there's really too much else, but I just want to look at these motors and see where we're at there. Yeah, so we do have a decent amount of sludge down in here that I should probably clean out. Like I always say, I run around in very dusty environments. Actually, is that dirt, or is that almost look like there's some oil in there? Oh, I guess we did lubricate. No, we didn't lubricate the front shocks. Well, let's get these plastics off and see what's going on. It almost looks like there's some oil that's holding the dirt, which would be strange. Sure, it probably doesn't help anything, but there's like some gravel stuck down inside here. Rocks. Let's see if we can get this off all in one piece without removing my extra screws here. Don't know if that's going to be possible. Haha, we did it. So normally this is like 3 or 4 pieces of plastic. We have the fender, then we have this piece, and then we have these other parts here. But if you remember a while back, I think it was a video called OCD Fueled Mods, we added some extra screws and nuts to hold this all together. Let's see here. I think that is actually just dirt. I'm not seeing where any oil would have come out of anything. The shock looks pretty dry. Yeah, I mean, that looks fine. Lots of dirt and gravel down in here, of course. I'm not sure where that vibration noise would have been coming from, though. When I was running around, I tried putting my hand on the fender to see if I could make it stop, but that didn't really seem to have any effect on it. Well, I'm gonna keep taking things apart here, probably get out the air compressor, blow this out, and then I'm gonna see if it's not too much work to get this motor off of here so we can get to the brushes on the other side there and everything. I don't think I've ever had the motors off of this chair. Yeah, anyways, I'll be back. So I was just working on getting these caps or brake release levers off of here. There's some little tiny Allen cap bolts down underneath there. According to this, they're a 3/32, but I'm just going to try and get a screwdriver bit in here and see if we can get those loose, because it's kind of a weird spot. You can't really get a wrench in. I get the feeling this probably isn't supposed to come off until after the motor is out. Oh. We got it. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. I was worried we have to take off this entire swing arm and the shock and everything, but I think I can just pull these 4 bolts and kind of slither the whole drive unit out of here. Should have these really long bolts. Yep. Yep. Got some of that industrial hook and loop tape there. And we have a little metal bracket. And then our motor should come off. And if you look over here, there is a tiny amount of slack, but that should be just enough to kind of set this thing right there. Okay, it looks like we've got a screw that might allow us to pull this cable raceway off to get a little bit more clearance in here. Yeah, it gives us a little bit of room there. Yeah, see, the top of this just kind of looks like something has spilled on it and made all the dirt connect, but I don't see any evidence of oil coming out of any seals or anything like that, so I think we're doing okay. Okay, let's go ahead and pop our brush housings open here and see what we get. Doesn't seem to be too much debris there yet. Come hither. Nope, come on. So not looking too bad. I would say this is maybe 45% worn. Definitely still has plenty of life left in it. No deep grooves or anything. I will want to match the angle that this thing came out of here with. The way these things wind up wearing, they're kind of biased one way or the other, because as the motor turns, it's going to slightly rock the brush up or down, which is going to make one of these lips a little bit higher. Not a problem necessarily, but if you put it back in the other way, it's going to make some noise while it's wearing down that edge. Let's see if we can get our eyeball down inside and look at the commutator. Focus. There we go. Yeah, that actually doesn't look too bad. It's not completely blackened or anything like that. However, we will still definitely want to blow any crud out of there, because all of this worn material is inside there. And that's not the best for conductivity and keeping things clean and all that. I guess we might as well inspect the brakes while we're in here too. Now this bracket is held on by 2 of the screws that actually hold the brake onto the back of the motor. So there's still 1 more up there holding that on, but 2 fairly long-ish screws. Now that's out of the way. We can get our other brush housing open. Yeah, that one looks to be pretty much about the same as the other one. Try and clean some of the carbon schmoo off my hands. Then I'm going to go over there and fire up the air compressor, grab the air hose. We're going to gently blow some air through there to get rid of any brush debris that has accumulated. Now this usually makes a horrendous cloud of evil dust, so I'm going to drape this Amazon Basics disinfecting wipe over the other side here to try and catch some of that if we can, just to keep it from getting too airborne. And also it'll give us a nice surface to see how much comes out of there. We're going to gently apply some air into here while we rotate the motor, and should be able to clean everything out, or at least a lot of it. And you can probably see some of that flying around in the air, but here's the rest of it that was caught on the other side. And that should be sufficient. I'm not going to completely take this thing apart and sand down the commutator and all that. Anyways, while we're here, let's go ahead and pull this brake off the back of the motor and see what's going on down in there. And there is our brake mechanism. This is another good spot to open up and check to make sure you're not getting you know, oil or fluid leaks or anything like that. Probably should have used a clean one of those. It looks like our seals are still doing fine down here. Yeah, and here we get a look at the coupling between the brake disc and the motor. As you can see here, they're using a sort of a hex style nut that has a couple of grub screws, and it goes onto a flat shaft. Looks like there's also a circlip on here. And then, is that a rubber band or what is that? There's something else running around here. Oh yeah, and then there's like an O-ring for dampening that goes into the little groove that's cut all the way around. You can kind of see it right there. So yeah, this thing is fastened mechanically with 1, 2, 3 grub screws and a circlip. So Quantum should take note of this. That is not going to rattle. Now let's check our brake operation here. We'll just kind of turn this on with that in the middle position. And that is clamped tightly in place. There's no movement. These seem to be plenty tight. Assuming there's Loctite, we're going to go ahead and pull these out anyways, just to inspect things for no reason. And this is currently in neutral, which means there is no spring tension. If this thing doesn't move freely in here, that means there's spring tension against that plate. And when you take these off, you're going to be fighting the big spring in there. And anytime you remove screws on something with tension, your eyeballs be in danger. Oh, that was a tiny screw. Come back here. Okay, this is one of our wear surfaces on the brake there. This piece that moves around is the friction material, and it basically gets pressed against this outer housing. You can see there how there's wear marks and color changes on that. There's our disc material, and there is the inner friction surface. Well, terminology. This is the friction disc, and it's basically clamped between this and this. Dare I release the spring? There we go. And this plate is responsible for making that clicking sound when your brakes turn on and off. This electromagnet right here pulls this thing down against a spring that's in the middle. And if you kind of hear that noise, that's basically what's making your brake noise when they turn on and off. Just gonna wipe this out a little bit here. Blowing the air into the brush housing kind of gets stuff all over the place. And once again, wheelchair brakes are for parking only. They have nothing to do with slowing down the chair or bringing you to a stop. These never engage until you are 100% completely stopped, and this just keeps the chair from rolling once that happens. So yeah, everything in here looks pretty much fine. Not that I was expecting there to be any sort of problems, but ew. It's always just interesting to look around inside of these after a couple of years of use and see what's going on. Getting things put back together here, and I just realized I didn't put this cap back on before I put the motor on. We did get it off, but I think it would have been easier to reinstall before the motor went on there, but let's clean some dirt out of here. These things do kind of make the brakes a bit louder, like an echo chamber basically, but they're not as bad as the M3 though. The new M3s have a huge version of this that's integrated into the top cover, and holy cow, those things are noisy. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, looking really carefully at this, I can see there's some witness marks or wear marks right on the edge of this. and then on a couple other spots on this thing as well. And then looking down here on the edge of the metal next to the motor, there's some spots where you can see this has been vibrating against that mount. This would actually make sense. All right, cool. I'm gonna see if I've got some double-sided tape or Velcro or something we can stick in there. Okay, after looking around, I don't have any foam tape or Velcro stuff here, but, clean that dirt. But I realized that these plastic covers are easily available without taking anything off. So you can actually see, well, it's kind of dark, but over there on the other side, that plastic cover with that white piece is there. That's exactly what this is. So we can add some foam tape or something from the outside. But what I want to do is put this all back together and then see if I can lean down there if I'm still hearing that noise and put my finger on that piece of plastic and see if that makes it shut up. There's nothing else in here that I can figure. It sounded like a piece of plastic, kind of like this, but like vibrating against metal. So yeah, we'll see. You certainly don't want these coming off, but they are very long bolts. So if you just twisted on these with this 3/8 driver wrench, you could certainly snap those bolts right in half. And you can see here all the scratches from when the tires pull rocks up and they scrape against the edge of this. By the way, I've done an entire video on how to install and remove these anti-tippers on the F3 chairs, which I will link up above and down below, all the usual places. Now for the next puzzle of the afternoon, can we get this entire assembly back on here? Ooh, thought I cleaned that. Can we get this whole thing back on here without taking it apart? Like I said, normally this is multiple pieces, but I got tired of everything rattling and just bolted it all together. So, and of course there's also Velcro in there. Somewhere, something, oh, so that goes like that. Kind of over there, and then that sounds like breaking. Did it break? I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's it. That's another rattle point. That could also be part of our rattle that I'm hearing. So the aggressive tread tires, obviously having aggressive tread, create a little bit more vibration and can make all this stuff rattle and vibrate. So I wonder if putting a longer screw in here and putting a washer on top of that would keep it from rattling. I think it probably would. Okay, I fished around in my box of hardware and I found this little Phillips screw with a washer, actually two of them, one for each side, and we should be able to replace this little centering pin, which it's really hard to show because, well, basically it's just like this. If you look right here, you can see this bolt sticks through, but it doesn't actually clamp onto this plastic. It's a little bit smaller than that, but basically we're going to install something like this that'll actually hold the plastic in place. But that's down here on the bottom. So let's see if we can get this to thread in here. Yep, close enough, it's going in. And there we go. Now, instead of having a locating bolt underneath here, we have a washer that's actually clamping this lower thing in place. And it's not rattling anymore. Sweet. I still have no idea where this goes. I'll have to pay attention when I take apart the other side. No squeaks or rattles anywhere. All right, let's do it. I was just realizing I probably should have pulled the hub off of there, or at least inspected the shaft to make sure there's not hair and dirt getting in the seal. Removing these hubs on the older chairs was extremely difficult though, so Maybe I'll do that on the other side and see how difficult it is. And then if it's not too bad, I could come back over here on this side and do it. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna turn this thing around, do the other side. Not sure if I'm gonna film anything, but if I come across something interesting, I will certainly turn on the camera and fill you guys in. All right, cool, let's see how it goes. Okay, we're getting the other side taken apart here, and I'm noticing there is some hair and a bit of debris down inside where the motor hub connects. I don't think I'm going to try and take it off, but I'm just going to use these tweezers and kind of pull some of this stuff out of here, or try to. If you get enough hair or fibers or other things down in here, it can make that seal become cranky, and then you'll start leaking gear oil. But getting some nice fine point tweezers seems to help in getting the stuff out of here. Oh yeah, see? And then that holds all the dirt and everything starts building up down in there, and it can defeat that seal. So I'm definitely going to pull the wheel back off on the other side and at least get down in there with these tweezers and get this stuff out, because it's a very simple thing you can do that will prevent these seals from freaking out on you. And I don't know what it is about long hair. I don't care where you live. If there's any of it within like a 20-mile radius of you, it is going to end up around these motor shafts. No question about it. So I think you can see there's all the filth we just pulled out of there. Gross. Not too bad, but it'll build up in a hurry if you're not careful. Ah, I just remembered where this other bolt goes. The cable raceway on the other side. We pulled that loose so we had more slack for the wires to come through. So yeah, okay. That's where that goes. Excellent. Interesting. Just noticed on this side, we've got a little bit of dissimilar metal corrosion going on here. I think just from all the moisture and stuff that I end up running around in. Actually, the powder coating's still fine. Well, maybe that's just some... no, that's corrosion of whatever this metal is. Not damaging anything, but just a little bit of surface markings down here. Interesting note. I mean, it makes sense. We have two big flat plates that are pressed against each other with no clearance. So, bound to happen a little bit, but nothing too terrible. Yeah, now that the motor's out of here, it's a little bit easier to get a driver down here and remove these screws that hold on the brake housing cover. Why are you stuck? This makes no sense. Ah, there we go. A little bit of crud. Yeah. We'll have to remember to put that back on before we reattach the motor. Brush inspection. And looks pretty much like the other side. This one has... Actually, these ones almost look better shape, or maybe the brush material is just slightly different. But yeah, this one's not worn quite as much. This is maybe 35% worn, something like that. Oh boy, there is significantly more. Oh, should have been wearing a respirator. There's significantly more carbon on this side. Whew. That's actually somewhat impressive. The brushes don't appear to be as worn, but they do almost look like they're made out of a different material. These ones are more of like a bronze or coppery color, where the ones on the other side were like straight up looking black carbon whatever. Yeah, it's good thing we cleaned that up. Okay, oh, look at that. Weird. I'm gonna go turn on the air cleaner, and then I'm gonna give the vacuum cleaner, and I'm gonna clean all this up. That was nasty. We're going back together now on this other side. It was interesting to note, there wasn't nearly as much dirt or other debris on this side. So, kind of weird sometimes. I mean, I don't know, maybe I like spilled something over there and it picked up all the dirt, but over here, everything seemed to be good. Significantly more carbon or brush debris inside the motor. That was a little surprising. Shock over here looks fine. Yeah, so as it turns out, this piece can be put on after the bolts are in. Just kind of slide it up in here. Sort of. There we go. There we go. That's on. And then, oh, that's right. We're going to do our screw mod on this side as well. Yeah, I'll definitely pull that other wheel off though and get all the debris and stuff out of there. But, yeah, coming right along here. Everything looks fine. It's a chair that has, 1,200 miles on it and runs around in deep gravel every day and a lot of dust and dirt. And, things are actually holding up a lot better than I thought. Even like the motor pivots here and the bearings and bushings down in here. I mean, all this movement is basically the same as it was when it was new. So, I don't know. I think we're doing all right. No major red flags. Definitely doesn't hurt to tear everything down and check on it occasionally, though, especially when you rely on it every day and you can't have it breaking on you. All right, continuing on. Just getting ready to put the anti-tipper back on this side, but check it out. Right here on the passenger, or the right side of the chair, I use this as a tie-down point, or a tie-down hook. So you can see there that the hook going on and off of this constantly has definitely left some marks. It's almost impossible to get to the factory tie-downs on the front of these chairs because they're tucked way up in here, and the fender's normally here, then the light's here, and there's like no way to get to that. So in my case, what I normally do, which you probably shouldn't do, but I do, is basically hook right over this. But as you can see, it's obviously going to create some wear over time. Ooh, safety. That's kind of bad for the front cover. Let's see if we broke anything. Looks like all we did was pop it loose. Oh, there we go. Wait a minute. That's another rattle point. See, here I am thinking it was these covers, which, I mean, those could be, but this and that, yeah, okay, at least the jack didn't break anything. Actually, there's a couple of little plastic plugs I need to reinstall down here. Those always end up getting knocked off when I use the jack. Where's the other one? There it is. Oh. I think I broke a couple of these. Yeah, these are just little caps that go over the manual adjustment mechanism for the seat lift, or for the seat tilt. And I'm gonna have to see about getting a couple of replacement of those. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get myself a squeak and rattle kit, which is basically a bunch of foam tape and Velcro, one single-sided adhesive Velcro, and go around this thing. Okay, well, we're back together. I'm going to finish vacuuming the floor here, then we're going to hop in this thing and see if any of that rattling noise is gone. which, to be honest, had nothing to do with taking this all apart, other than just trying to see if we could figure out what it was. But yeah, inspecting it all seems to look fine. And right here is where our missing screw goes. Kind of forgot about that cable guide. Fairly important. And there's not quite as much. Okay, maybe I take that back. There's still quite a bit of hair inside this thing. I still don't understand how this all appears. Ew. Actually, I'm gonna do it one better. Let's do the floss technique. Oh yeah. Yeah, that gets all the stuff out of there. Alright. We'll call that good. Gross. Oh man. Not getting younger is dumb. It keeps becoming more difficult to do things and have energy to do a whole bunch of stuff. Anyways, got the chair put back together. Still has the weird vibration noise. I attempted to lean down while it was making that noise and press on a couple of those plastic panels. I think it stopped, or maybe it was the way I was leaning, but then I ran into a bunch of stuff over here because I was leaning over and trying to drive the chair. There's not a lot of space in here, so we're going to play with that later. I'm gonna get some stuff that I normally use. But when I worked in an auto shop years ago, one of my specialties was squeaks and wind noise, water leaks, squeaks, and rattles. So I'm pretty familiar with the various products to use to make things shut up. But interesting note, getting this thing back together and moving around, in my indoor profile, it was a little bit more, not jumpy, but I actually had to turn down my acceleration. I had to turn down my acceleration rates a little bit because I felt like I was moving too quickly. So apparently cleaning that out and, you know, making sure the brushes are kind of cleaned off and basically getting all the garbage out of there so the electricity can go through without resistance made it work better. Weird how that is. Anyways, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to make this into one video or two videos. It's, what time is it? 8 o'clock right now. And I'm seriously considering just going back to the bus and bagging this and just doing the live stream tomorrow and then uploading a couple of videos, or I don't know. Like I said, not getting younger is dumb, and gotta do what's necessary to not fall asleep. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm gonna put it on the camera, finish editing. Well, I'm gonna put down the camera, play around with editing a little bit more, and decide if I'm going to finish this tonight. But anyways, chair seems to be in good shape. It's got a bunch of scratches and stuff on it, but you know, that's how it is. And something.
Yeah.
That would have torn things up.
Sounds up.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is a brand new M3.
Alright, go. Nice and easy.
You good?